Well, being we have no questions, we have no hypotheses, and we have no corners to round off, I want to thank you all because this is always a very enjoyable portion of my life getting to play with you all, and I thank you for your time. This is officially In the Shadow of the White City, Season 3, Episode 2, As a Great and Sudden Change. When we last left our soon to be proper upstanding coterie members, they were all heading into the heart of the powers that be of Indianapolis. One of those representatives being Keisha Phelps, who is one of their local darlings, a specialist of voice and member of the Sensates, the Hedonists, the Clan of the Rose. If anyone would be wary and aware of the scuttlebutt of secrets, it would be her. As everyone steps out of their cars, Zak, Dia, and Secunda stepping out of the black on black Maybach with Frost and Seth easing alongside in the late 90s Chevy, which looked impressively like what it once was, a police car. We shift our gaze back roughly 5.5 years. Robert Gill being the newest addition to the Wolfpack due to their travails after the War of the Blood Red Boom, when Chicago was turned into not only its consistent and constant battleground, it turned into an all-out war. Kindred were dying by the bucket loads, and the Wolfpack was there to ensure as best as they were able that the violence of the preternatural sort, the supernatural war raging in the streets, tearing through the sewers, tearing along the beach and into the lake itself, did not filter into the day-to-day lives of the kind of the city. As archons, they are the executors of the will of the ivory tower itself. They are the boots on the ground, and specifically in this case with the Wolfpack, they are the Texas Rangers and a pride of lions all rolled into one. So they swept in like what they were, shock troops against the horrors that were raging through the city. Their newest recruit, more than suited to tearing a hole into anything and every problem that might accidentally or purposefully stand in the way of them executing their duties. In the course of the many battles fought and lives lost, the cost of attrition reached a little too high for him, the instincts of the beast having taken over. There was lives lost that shouldn't have been, and not just to the violence, but the complete drinking down of another's soul is as close to an outright crime that all kindred recognize than anything else. Monsters they are, but that level of spiritual cannibalism is enough to have a blood hunt called on any and everyone who takes part. Out of pack loyalty and protection of their own kind, Robert was given the opportunity to run. He was given the opportunity to flee, to leave, to escape notice, because 3 can keep a secret if 2 are dead. And they had no intention of dying. In his flight east away from the many people who may have learned or may have known what took place, he settled in a place that he probably shouldn't have. He settled in Indianapolis, which at that time was in the midst of a war with the Sabbat themselves. one thing leading to another, whispers along the grapevine from one sensate to the next, to the next, to the next. And word spread. This large, fiery-haired man was usable. He came from good stock. He had a ferocity to him that could be pointed, and anything that stood in his way would be felled. It's been a very long time since the collar was placed, where the controls were utilized, where the very real blackmail of what once happened settled in. Since that time, he has been passed around like the ultimate football that the president carries. When things hit the fan, when you need protection of the most violent sorts, he is the person that is utilized. And as such, like in every case where freedom is bartered, when one's freedom is taken and a leash placed against one's neck, there is an enmity that grew in him. There is an anger that existed there of a life stolen, a potential wasted, and most pressingly, the dishonor of being forced into servitude. And while alone that time, he's met quite a few people who weren't as bad as that, who didn't actively try to take part in his slavery. They still utilized his services. After all, they could not free him from the yoke. They can only make the load a little lighter. And so, due to Indianapolis grand head priest of the order of the ministry finds himself sitting in the church, listening as Keisha's voice rises to the rafters, unaided by the microphones that adorn the stage where she is. Her voice strong and high, ringing off the rafters and all but lulling Rob into a sense of peace. The old aphorism, music soothes the savage beast, is no less true amongst the undead. Robert, to be so kind as to go ahead and roll your wits plus awareness for me. And it's not until you hear the footfalls far too close that you realize that you, Keisha, and the gathered congregation are not alone. And not being alone, we switch back to the gathering members outside. Having stepped out of your cars, made your introductions with Dia's scathing lashing sitting in the air between you all. What in, we're moving out, reverse alphabetical order. What is the order of business? Secundus is her usual aware but paused self. Seth, having watched the interaction between Dia, Concordia, Zak, with Secundus standing off to the side watching, what is it that Seth is moving in towards? This is a response.
Seth watches Frost and Dia play the standard Toreador and Ghoul Mercenary power games and just face palms in general. Ma'am, I apologize for my friend Frost. He's professional on a different level than probably you're used to. He's looking at this from a purely functional. He has no appreciation of form. Knowing your objectives, I can say that basically it sounds like we're just going to be here to make sure nobody comes in or leaves prematurely. But this is definitely your group's mission. And my only mandate is that at the end of the day, you three, plus whoever you designate, make it into a car headed back towards the Windy City area. So we can be quiet and background for as long as you need us to be.
Frost, having watched the interactions and having caught the very pointedly sharp edge of Cordia's tongue lashing. Where is he? That regard. It's directly stated. Quick, polite dressing down.
Yeah, I go. Yeah. Sorry, this guy made me drive most of the way, so I'm a little snippy, but once the mission gets started, I'll not be as cranky. And he gives a smile. Like one of them type of smiles that you can clearly see is not really like a smile, but it's just the best he can do.
Dia, the apology standing there in the air from both Frost and Seth and Zak, attempting to mitigate things. Where does that place Dia?
Dia very clearly looks them both up and down again, and I suppose you'll do. Thank you both for your promptness in getting here. And that plan works well for me, being quiet and staying out of the way until you're needed. I really like it. Thank you both. Now, shall we head in?
Choosing between the buildings, and there are several on the church grounds, you all can catch the faintest edge of a performance in the offing. The alto vocal range lowly echoing in the darkness, with Frost having taken in the lay of the land, as it were, and the very real facet that this is, like most churches, designed to be a welcoming place. Unlike the cathedrals of old, which were designed in a sort reminiscent of castles to be a place for sanctuary to be defended, the ground of this particular church are not set in that with that mindset. They are low to the ground, open and sprawling. It would be a nightmare to attempt to have to defend any large portion of the grounds. Luckily, the chapel is the closest building to the street where you guys are parked. Making your way into it, it is roughly 50% filled with evening congregants. Sitting just as you all enter, on your right is a mountain of a man with a shock of red hair, a scruff across his chin that denotes that he is not exactly the sort you'd expect when associating with other sensates. But his large form is 100% undeniable for what it is. He is literally the walking definition of the muscle. Dia, being the oldest gathered, would have recognized him and his many associates as they toured through town at one point or another, assisting Geneva beat back those hoary demons of night known as the Sabbat, their white driven before them, their shovel heads being slaughtered by the handfuls when they attempted to take over the area. He was one of them, those people, the Archons. And here he sits in a ministry church, as on the stage is a tall, dark-skinned woman whose hair hangs roughly to her rib cage and her voice lifted skyward. It looks, based on her face, as if she's in the midst of the most ecstatic moment capable for humans.
Seeing the rather large muscle. Seth is unable to resist the old habit beaten into him as a child of crossing himself as he enters the church, but then sees the mountain and makes a mental note to always know where he is, and knows that Frost is probably doing the same thing.
Yeah, Frost is definitely doing the same thing and doing one extra thing. Looking to see if they have, like, coffee just, like, sitting out somewhere. like you know how sometimes gatherings have just, like, like a coffee thing?
There is a carafe at the back of as you all enter on your left, which is across from the red-haired gentleman sitting there in his leathers and swept along like most of the congregants here. As the crowd enters, Rob, you see the gentleman dressed in tactical gear moving towards the carafe of not completely fresh but kept warm vitae for the congregants.
Rob is going to walk over and check out this new member. They look quite like the kind who hang around here. Might cause trouble.
The leg moving toward the carafe that you're moving to intercept is clearly not familiar with what these services are. It has blushed life and roused the blood. There's a pink to his skin and a beating heart that you can almost smell beneath all of the ceramic plates of his tactical gear.
Hey, RoboCop. How you enjoying the infections here?
What is he talking to me?
Yeah, that's over to you, Frost.
Yes.
Okay, I was like, I heard combat gear, and I was just like, okay, maybe it's someone else, but you know. Is this the big ass boy?
Yes.
So he's literally walked over to me. Okay, I go. So wait, what did you ask?
I said, hey, RoboCop. How you enjoying
You
the
did say-
infectionaries?
I was like, I'm just getting some coffee.
How about the real reason you're here?
It's a church, ain't it?
A church with very exclusive members. With deep initiation.
Okay. I'm with that group over there. And he points towards Seth and the
Others. Do you actually pour from the carafe?
Seeing as how he just said it's like a specialty thing, special group, I'm guessing I'll take a sniff of it to see if I like smell vitae instead of coffee.
Let's give that a shot. Let's see how aware Mr. Frost is. So guys, go ahead and roll your wits plus awareness for me, please.
Oh, dang it. I closed my computer. I don't know why I closed my computer, but I did. Wits plus awareness. What was that? That was my speaker. Okay, so that's 5. Nice.
Oh yeah, this is very much not coffee. This is almost the antithesis of coffee. It would most assuredly be absolutely horrible if you opened up that spigot and began to consume whatever is in there. Judging by the man in front of you who is clearly not breathing, and the fact that Seth responded as if he walked into the monster's bedroom, it's a very good chance that he is very much what Seth is, but maybe perhaps a little bit more so.
Okay. So I just put it back down, and I'm just like, great.
At this point, Seth is gonna take mercy on Frost because
I'm just like,
he's trying really hard to hold it together right now, but he's on the border of a giggle, and it's almost visible. I walk over to Frost and hey Frost, you know the job. We stay in the back. We're not here to have fun today.
I was just going to get coffee, and it turns out the coffee's not coffee.
You had to kind of expect that, didn't you?
Well, I mean, you never know.
Why don't you post up on the door with me? We'll let this man do his job.
Don't cause any trouble now, you hear?
We are the antithesis of trouble.
We don't cause trouble. That's what you're supposed to say. We protect people from trouble.
We're here merely as caretakers.
That's caretakers. That's good.
Yeah, you use the big words, Frost. I'm gonna get you a source, I swear to God.
Did you just say big words?
Big words.
No big words.
How about you guys go do whatever you came here to do, and I'll do my job protecting the church.
This church is in safe hands, I am sure. And I try to mosey Frost towards the back of the congregation where we can lurk but not be looming.
Look, that's great. That's a great way to put it.
Frost has a moment with the role of a resident that he made, and looking at the mountain, and then Seth. And while he is grown accustomed and comfortable with what Seth provides him, which is the potentiality for immortality, there is very much the realization that these two are not the only ones. The four that he arrived with, Zak, Dia, Seth, and Secundus, are not the only one. There's a difference in knowing that there are things that go bump in the night. Someone would consider Frost exactly that. And then there's a difference of being surrounded by things that are more predator than he is. Not only hunters of men, but devourers of them. He has walked into Satan's church, for the lack of a better word. He's walked into the heart of the beast, and never before he's been surrounded by so many kindred with the very real potentiality that even the least of them could give him a run for his money, if not put his life immediately at harm. There's an unsettling thing about being the smallest monster in a group of monsters, and that's what dawns on Frost.
I feel like this is going to be a constant reminder of me being a ghoul and not a vampire.
Once we make a certain amount of distance from Robert and find our own little darkened corner to lurk in, I lean over to Frost and gently remind him, Frost, I know you're used to being heavily armed and potentially one of the more dangerous people in any given group, but here...
I'm always heavily armed.
Here, you're just a heavily armed Happy Meal. So, we're gonna take it real easy.
Yeah, I'm always easy. I'm always easy going. Come on, you know me.
Just remember, that guy could throw me like a lawn dart.
Is it bad? I kind of want to see that.
I know. But he'd just crack open like a Capri Sun. So,
Yeah, I know that.
remember, our job, these three, plus whoever they designate, to the car. That's the job. Everything else is their problem.
And speaking of their problem, while you three were having a small muscle-to-muscle moment,
Muscle to muscle.
Dia, Zak, and Secundus moved down the aisle. Those paying attention, it very much looked like the walk of the plastics as they grew closer and sat in the first pew, awaiting Keisha to end her performance. And as she does, a gentleman dressed in a cassock with full tab collar stands from amongst the clergy and moving toward the pulpit. Keisha leaves the stage. As she leaves the stage, he actually needs the microphone and turns it on and adjusts it so it perfect height. And while he's doing it, of course, rings out and chimes its metallic signal that someone is not accustomed to using microphones or electronics. And Keisha smiles and sits on the first pew with Dia and Zak and Secundus. She looks at Secundus first, of course, because Secundus is, for all intents and purposes, a local, though not one for long. I am so surprised that you actually arrived. I thought Miriam was against you coming to service. Secundus fights the urge to sigh or roll her eyes and instead forces the brightest of fake smiles possible. I'm just here to help. This is Concordia, and this is Zak. They have questions to ask of you. And she busies herself looking elsewhere and not making eye contact and not acting on what is clear for her that she has an enmity towards the church. Not specifically Keisha.
Dia, looking towards Zak, having heard the question as they walked, leans back towards them so that they're not overheard. You made a promise, and I will keep you held to that. Remember, if things get too dangerous, though, we have our new friends in the back. We can always hide behind them and let them get shot first. And then they go back to the sit down, and then they wait for Keisha. And then once Keisha sits and Secundus introduces them, Concordia puts their hand out towards Keisha and shakes firmly, but not like a testing of strengths type of thing. It's stupid, but pleasure to meet you.
I believe the pleasure is all ours. Anyone who comes to our services, of course, welcome. What brings you all here?
Well, it seems we have lost a lamb, and you might have found them.
Oh, I most assuredly have seen her. She has been here quite often, taking solace with us. Perhaps we should step outside for a moment. And as she says that, he finally has the microphone where he needs to be. Brothers and sisters of the darkness, I am glad that you all have arrived here for your salvation, my salvation, and the enjoyment of what is left of our lives. She immediately stands, and true to her upbringing, she manages to not grimace at the less than performative nature of the speaker. He is clearly not the regular priest, and clearly not as enjoyable expressing his faith.
You do not have to tell Dia twice. Churches or something they are not overly fond of, either in human life nor their undead life. But one must go to places they do not like. So yeah, they keep step with Keisha on the way out, and when they get even with Frost and Seth, they do their head nod towards the door, like wiggling out, go out. But then catching sight of Robert, the big tall guy, just stops and looks and takes them in, recognizing them vaguely and making sort of a face.
Keisha stops. Oh, you know Rob, this is Concordia, and this is Zach. That's Segunda's, and she's a regular person. We're going to be stepping outside. Would you like to come with us?
Rob's stone-like demeanor starts to crumble when he sees Dia, thinking someone remembers, possibly, his new life he's made. Well, not the best. Might end soon.
Come, you are quite the tall drink of water. And they slip their arm into Robert's.
I think you got the wrong guy, lady. I'm just hired muscle.
And what muscles they are.
Keisha smiles. No tempting. Rob, we're going to be stepping outside, and I know that our priest wants you to ensure our safety, and I would feel so much safer with you in presence. Shall we step outside?
Yeah. Right behind you.
Seth lets that exchange happen before he moves out from their little lurky spot and falls in line, favoring the side with Dia, Concordia, and Zach, trying to stay close to them without interfering with Rob trying to do his job.
That's very considerate. And all too needed, especially as the moment you all step outside, you realize that there is something almost too angelic about Keisha. Being as close as you all are, would everyone be so kind as to roll your resolve plus subterfuge, and your target number is 4.
Oh, crap.
Did you say resolve and subterfuge?
Yes.
Was that resolve and subterfuge?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yeah, no, I disconnected for a second and I had to pop.
Okay. Yes, yes. Everyone made a very nice roll, or as best roll as they were able to. And Dia, you ignore the next portion of description. As you all step outside and the moonlight hits Keisha's skin, it would not be unfair to describe it as an epiphany striking you with just how beautiful she is. And it's not the sort of beauty that's cheap and in magazines or something that's done with makeup and lighting. It is, in this moment, you realize that of most kindred that you have met, that Keisha, unlike the vast bulk of kindred, is not as possessed by that dark side, by that beast, by that battle and warfare between the light and the dark. She exists almost perfectly on that line between the two, both halves of her being working towards the salvation of others. It is literally a savage beauty that falls over her upon the touch of the moon's light upon her skin. And it's religious. It is a spiritual moment. It is the knowing that there is more for you. That heaven is not far away. That heaven is only as far as you are willing to try to go to get to it. It's a touch away. If that, you have but the bravery to seize it. Dia, when you step outside, you feel the weight, the unburdening of that aura washing over you and nearly everyone else. There's an understanding that comes from age, and you realize that inside there was a battening down the hatches, as if there was a bit of play acting being done. Here is a truer instance of Keisha. This is a true instance of Miss Phelps. As she steps outside with everyone in tow, with yourself, you realize what is taking place. It's an unfurling, a stretching out, a unknown breath being released.
Dia looks at Keisha and smirks. A lot like taking off your bra at the end of the night, I bet.
It most assuredly is. Our congregants this evening have not been properly educated yet, and I don't want to overwhelm anyone. We are here to save souls, to get everyone to realize their best selves, and they can't do that if they can't see clearly.
Seth is obviously taken in by the aura that washed over them and slightly shifts his position so that he can include Keisha in his awareness of protection.
Same goes for Frost. Although he's probably a little more infatuated because he had less die.
Rob tries his best to stay expressionless, but he falls for her appearance, same as the rest.
Rob had already been a little enamored with her voice. Keisha has sung previously. In fact, usually about 3 to 4 times a week, she's here singing and ministering congregants. So her voice and her persona inside the church is a thing that is something to behold. She is kind and welcoming and educational, all without being overbearing. Unlike the blowhard at the pulpit currently, Keisha is rarely at the pulpit or on the stage. She's usually moving through the pews and sitting and talking with people and vindicating to the poor and the besotted kindred, those who have gotten close to losing themselves to their beast or who have gone over the edge. In the time that Rob has been here, he has seen her pull back from that edge far too many kindred for it to simply be random, for it to be a affectation. She has found a way to really reach out and help others find their own balance. This night, between the moon and the soft breeze, this is magic of a sort that he was hoping to find all those years ago before he lost himself to his beast. All it takes is once, and that one time is far more than enough. He knows what it's like to go over the edge. And unlike these poor souls, he didn't have anyone to pull him back until it was far, far too late. Let's step around side. There is usually a few latecomers or stragglers, and there's an office back in the other building that we can use to talk, especially if you're actually here to help Honor. How much do you all know? She asks as she's directing traffic as she makes her way toward the back rearmost building.
Dia looks to Zak and notices their uncomfortability and speaks directly to them. If it would help, you can tell Keisha what you know about Anna first, and then go wait near the car if it makes you feel better, and take, she looks back at Frost, that one with you.
Wow. I feel so attacked.
Oh no.
But that's the point. That's one of the points that I wanted, though. I knew I was going to experience distrust, not distrust, but difference. Because
Yes, there's something about dancing on that line without going anywhere near actually going over. From Frost's vantage point, dancing with these dark monsters, he is able to see just exactly how much further from the bulk of humanity he himself is. He is a manhunter. He is a finder of lost people. People who are seeking to be lost, to escape from the responsibilities of some portion or all portions of their lives, to change themselves into something they wish to be. And in that constantly tracking, tracing, finding, hunting, he realizes how different from the vast majority of humans he actually is.
When Dia makes her allowance for Zak to pull back, he looks over at Frost. Actually, that's a pretty good idea. If Zak's going to pull off to the side, I'd like to have one of us with him. So, just once he's shared and starts headed to the car, I want you to stay with him, but keep your phone out. And ping me 911 if anything bad is happening.
Oh yes, and I really have seen Honor. And Keisha says as she watches the musical chairs of security being shuffled, she just glances towards Rob with a knowing smirk. I believe that we will all be far safer together. And she pats his bicep gently, as if it could spring out like some jack-in-the-box and attack her. I know that Mr. Gill will not allow any harm to befall us while we are on church property. But as for Honor, she came to us horribly, in a horrible, horrible state. Um, as you all don't know why she's here, I really would not prefer to share her secret. That's her own cross to bear. But she suffered under her sire's tutelage, under her sire's care, and that trauma and that pain bubbled up and erupted in a manner most unbecoming. And so she came to us for help, for an opportunity to be herself instead of someone else's plaything, instead of someone else's trophy, instead of someone else's kept individual. She came for freedom.
Tia nods and looking at Keisha. I would most assuredly like to have her keep her freedom, but the problem is I was given task, well, my coterie was given task by her sire. He wishes to know where she is and have her brought back. I do not wish to take her back. I am more than willing to, as you would say, look the other way. But I at least need to know that she is of sound mind to make a decision, one way or the other.
Oh yeah, she is very much of sound mind. She's as much at peace as she can be in this moment. She went through quite a lot, and there's still much work to be done to help her find who she actually is. She normally would have been here this evening, however, you can understand how trying coming to grips with one's past is. Can't you?
Indeed. I think everybody who has lived any amount of years past what they should have had will have to face their past at some point. So yes, I agree. I understand. Again, I wish them no harm or ill will. I wish only to have an answer to return to their sire one way or the other. And now that I see that she has help, I would assume it would be best for her Honor Mercer to disappear. And she makes that a very pointed look.
Really? Would you be so kind as to go ahead and roll your charisma and persuasion? Well now. Rob, it is clear that the young lady talking has every intention of ripping Keisha's throat out. She needs to be restrained. Frost, you've never seen something so passionately put across in the most subtle of manners, but it is literally watching the shadows come to life. Zak, Seth, there is a strength to Concordia's words that brings a tear to the eye. There is a clear-cut investment of hope and will in what she is saying. She earnestly honestly means every word so passionately that it is clear that she would be willing to fight for it.
I'm watching the interchange between Concordia and Keisha, and I take a sauntering, slow step back just to give myself a bigger field of view as these two power players are jockeying for position. My job wasn't to start anything. My job is to get them out. So I'm making sure that I'm not seen as an aggressor of any kind.
Well, I mean, with Frost, his mission's just to protect the people that at least that's what he was told.
Yeah. So
Rob's gonna give Seth a look over. He's definitely a bit harder than other two who were treated.
yeah, Robert would see what Seth is doing in making space, so that he's opening up his options. He doesn't want to be right next to anybody if things kick off. Robert's gonna see that feeling, but he also sees that Seth isn't reaching for anything. He isn't taking sides as of yet. He's just paying really close attention.
As everyone sizes each other up as if this is the good, the bad, and the ugly, as Seth steps back and takes in his field of view, and Rob tints without tinting because you don't need actual muscle tensile strength when you are unalive. And Frost siding with Seth, but not directly, catches sight of Zak moving back and away, heading out of the area where you guys are towards the front where you all parked. Segundas, who has been relatively quiet and keeping her distance from Keisha, looks at Dia as if she's seeing them for the very first time. In the first moment that they laid eyes on each other at Urzuli's club at Red No, there was some attraction, but in the sheer passion and her honest belief, there is a changing of stances. There's a changing of understanding. But there's clearly more to Dia than what had previously been thought. And that adoration, that thought, those feelings that emerge gives Segundas an opportunity to realize. Seth, would you be so kind as to go ahead and roll wits plus larceny or streetwise, whichever is higher. Zak, heading toward the car, would you be so kind as to roll your wits plus either insight or streetwise, whichever is higher. Frost, same roll and opportunity. And Robert, again, same roll and opportunity. Dia, you clearly have Keisha by the short and curly. Your forceful, passionate presentation of the information has effectively grown the Grinch's heart 2 sizes that day. And changing a believer's mind is not an easy thing to do, but somehow in the impassioned speech that Dia gave, they managed to do just that. Either streetwise or larceny for those with that skill, or streetwise or insight for those who don't.
What was mine? Was it wits plus what?
Wits plus streetwise or wits plus larceny, whichever is higher.
What? Yeah.
Alright, did you need me to roll something, or am I just like kind of watching all this?
You're just kind of watching all this. You are the orator of the moment. You have center stage. You are the distraction for everyone else right now. Oh, look at Rob breaking out the willpower. He really wants to be aware. He's really trying not to get lost in the moment. There's a lot of feelings. There's a lot of power when being in and around the church. He understands just how moving moments here can be, how it can twist up one's beliefs and ball them into a little wad and shoot them off into space. So, minding his P's and Q's, Rob fighting against the full sway. He and Seth catches sight of it at the exact same time. While Indianapolis is not a poor city, it is no Gary, it is no deep far south side of Chicago. It is most assuredly not a Riverdale, but it is also not the Magnificent Mile. It's also not Manhattan. It is that horrendously stratified melting pot. And even in such a place as that, a Maybach stands out, catches notice, especially when paired with a vehicle that is clearly not of the same ilk. And you all see it almost in slow motion as the 4 cars ease into the parking lot. Rob, having been from the area and having fought duplicitous individuals previously, understands that caravan of vehicles is here for one thing. They are here as a distraction, while one or more of them escape from those cars and the distraction and makes their way to the Maybach, which is strangely enough easy enough to jack. And they will be on their way, and that car will be destroyed, broken for parts, or moved out of state within the next 2 hours. They will be significantly richer.
Robert seems to be the most aware, the least drawn in by Dia right now. I lean over and say, "Are those your guys's?"
Who? Oh, you mean the land sharks? No, not at all, Keisha says in response to the car pulling into a lot. We have to shoot them away every once in a while. But luckily there's nothing of any value.
Frost hears Seth say, "Are those your guys?" and immediately takes out his MP5 from his back and just not aims, but like readies himself for combat.
Do you need me to take care of these guys, Keisha?
Very much, please.
My pleasure.
Zach, being the closest to the vehicles that are pulling into the lot, there's a quick flash of insight, a quick premonition, and it's almost as if the future and fate have combined to write you a personal love note. Those cars are danger. Those cars are here to abscond with something or someone, and being as you are the only someone that is far enough from the group, you are sure that the next few moments of your life will be spent in the backseat of someone else's car. Dia, watching all of this happen, what's most pressing on Dia's mind is she couldn't have changed Keisha's mind if Keisha had a mind to actually work. And with those thoughts and those actions being ready, we will take a quick 10-minute. It is 24 after the hour. I'll see you guys back here at 35 after the hour. Thanks so much. gentlemen, speaking of wildfire, that is exactly what Frost is preparing to do, though with some class and skill, as the land sharks move into the lot. Um, so the official breakdown of where things are is you have 4 cars moving into the mouth of the parking lot, which is to the east of the primary church. You guys are just north of the primary church building. You had not made it inside. You were taking in the night air and speaking, which means furthest away is Keisha, then Dia, then Seth and Frost, then Rob, and closest is Zach. And the land sharks have no intentions of honestly doing anything non-malicious. It is what they do, after all. Stir the pot, make a good chunk of change, and move on. Most people in Indianapolis rarely have to deal with them dead on because, well, humans and kindred can adjust to almost anything. People have adjusted to this sorely physically threatening gang as just a matter of call. Give them what they want, send them on their way, call the police and get it, file an insurance report. It's usually how most people operate. However, they've chosen the wrong night and the wrong place to conduct their activity. Spotting Zach dressed in everyday finery that is considered haute couture, they know that Zach has money. So instead of taking a car, they've decided to divest Zach.
Wait, they don't think Frost has money? He's kind of like lit up with like heavy military grade gear.
You're a problem, not a solution, man.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And then Zach reaches into their pocket, drawing the 2.5-inch blade from their pocket. What does everyone else do?
Okay, so just so I have a clear picture, 4 cars came in, they're already emptying out. Zach is by our cars. We are somewhere between Zach and the building.
Yes.
Okay. So obviously the wizard is going to cast a spell, because that's what wizards do. I'm going to find cover and rouse 1 for blood potency.
Alright.
And it doesn't increase my hunger. Woo!
Ooh, and Frost being his paranoid self, he activates Ospec's sense the unseen. Or something. It's called that, right?
Yeah.
Frost, Ospec's plus wits, if I remember correctly.
Yes.
Yeah, wits plus Ospec's or resolve plus Ospec. So it's wits, because my wits is higher. And Ospec's is 1, so that'd be 4.
Rob is going to draw his claws and try to get
Ooh.
the land sharks and Zach. Seeing that he's gonna be targeted first.
Alright, would you be so kind as to go ahead and roll that rouse roll for that? Oh, and there we go. The beast rears its head and you have that sound come from a human or human-like throat as Rob roars as much like a lion as a man and charges, his fingers elongating and shifting as he moves. Dia, Zach, what do you guys do?
Dia is because they have celerity, but it's not speed, it's just grace. So I don't know how far that would get them in trying to move closer to the cars. but they're going to move as fast as they possibly can in a regular move, and then when they get to wherever they stop, they're going to turn on Dread Gaze and try to hit that whole group that's coming in with that gaze, so they back the F up, basically.
See. And Zach, knowing that there is violence in the offing, and you being the closest target of opportunity, what is it that Zach is attempting to do?
Okay, so I know I have to roll for this, and I already know what the pool is, but I was going to have a quick question. I have the merit of beautiful, and I know I'm supposed to be doing Dread Gaze, but what it kind of makes me think of is that one scene in Lord of the Rings where Galadriel turns from incredibly beautiful to still beautiful but hella scary. That's what I want to do.
Okay. Okay, so that being the case, distance first, that would be Mr. Seth. Now, what was as you move towards cover, what was it that Seth is attempting?
He used his blood sorcery for blood potency, and he managed not to draw hunger, and succeeded in thickening his blood to a potency of 2 from 1. So, from a standpoint, anybody who's looking at him, he seems to pulse denser. He pales a little bit more. He's more obviously vampiric as he dodges down below whatever cover he can find.
Cover-wise, that is a very easy thing to do with the area that you guys are in. Crouching just behind the rear bumper of the nearest car, before everyone's eyes, there is no doubt that there is nothing remotely human about Seth. There's nothing remotely alive in the space that he is inhabiting. And as he does so, Frost, having not moved to cover, but instead seeking to take in the entire site, all of the things that are in this world and in the next. There are some things that one wishes to never see. There are some things that one shouldn't see. And in this moment, Frost is able to take in the entirety of that. He is able to see the swirling bits of Shadowland that peek through the veil, starting at the church and funneling up as if there is a torrent of soul and spirit and energy all melding into a singular storm waiting for just the right crack of thunder to break across the landscape. The grounds around him have been sanctified or consecrated of some sort, because the souls there seem to be stuck partially in and partially out of the earth. Not their human bodies, not their remains, but the souls themselves stuck partially interred. Where the cars are parked and where the property meets the public line, the sidewalk and the street thereafter, it looks as if there are small ebony fires raging all along the perimeter. And the land sharks? Oh, they're human, but they are human being ridden by the spirits of avarice, greed, and things far darker. They appear as pustules and globules of slimy, black, yellowish ichor all about them, as it is clear that they have given themselves over to the most monstrous of entities, of the most monstrous of impulses. They are as horrible inside as out. And while Frost is taking that in, and Seth is becoming that inner monster, Dee is moving past him to stand closer to Zak, just nearer than Maybach, and she unfurls her aura as if it is a cloak and a cape, and that the land shark are the bulls to which she is seeking to embed her daggers. That edge that Frost has tasted a sampling of, that edge that had moved Keisha to a stillness that none other has managed that far. And then the blur of muscle and bestial focus given form that is Robert. A person of his height, his weight, living or dead, should not move that quickly. And as Dia's aura lashes out, touching their ephemeral selves, drawing their attention, his physical form lashes out, touching their physical. Would you be so kind, Robert, as to go ahead and roll strength plus brawl for me, please? Monsters.
Sweet Mother McCready.
There were 4 cars of robbers, of land pirates, of highwaymen who were treated as if they were bad men, as if they were the sorts of humans that all others needed to fear. As they exit the car with every intent to divest Zak of all of their valuables and potential, even a bit of their blood to spill across the sidewalk, there is a freezing of their blood in their veins that Dia's aura connects with them, freezing them in place and making them rethink their lives. As those neurons are firing and they're preparing to decide whether they're going to complete their action and beg forgiveness later. After all, there's a church right over there. There is a monster amongst their midst. There's a blur of pale skin, leather jacket, blue jeans. They're not sure what the face looks like because the only thing they can hear is the roar and snarl of a beast on 2 legs. It is everything that they can do to make it back or close enough to their car. Standing, breathing heavily, though he doesn't need to. Rob looks down on the rack. Zak, you are accustomed with the violence. Social violence, usually. But the violence that happens in front of him with such speed is a thing to behold. They were frozen no more than a couple of microseconds, and indecision wavering, causing them to pause, which was all the time in the world that Rob needed. Eviscerating and ending lives with a blur and disregard only those beasts of the field could ever right in themselves. 12 men, women, late teenagers, lay sprawled in pieces, some missing actual pieces, some merely butterflied and spatched open on the ground at Rob's feet.
Seth peeks out over the edge of his cover and sees if there's anyone left.
There's one who's attempting to make it to the car, but it's hard to get to his feet. Something needed was severed in the slashing and tearing. He can't stand up, so he's pulling himself along on his one good elbow, his left. The scraping of his clothing across the ground is the only noise. He's too tired, too scared to scream. He's too damaged for his lungs to properly collect enough air to whimper. So there's just this scrape and scuff as he's pulling himself closer car.
Seth doesn't point his weapon and holds up his hand to Frost in a closed fist. Give Robert a minute before you do anything. Seth is realizing that Robert touched into a little too much of his aggression all at once and doesn't want to draw unneeded attention back towards the main group.
Frost, with an intense look, nods at Seth, but like has an urge to just aim at Robert, but he won't. He keeps his cool.
Did you end your piercing into the veil to the other side?
What do you mean? Wait, sorry. Did I have to roll something?
No, just asking, did you keep your senses aware? Because if you did, you are the only person that knows to the nanosecond when the souls exited those bodies, when those 21 grams, the weight of those human souls exited, some of them attempting to back and scurry away, even dead, even with the souls exiting and trying to pierce into the other side, most of them getting stuck in the ground around Robert and the church.
Wait, am I seeing these people get torn to hell?
Oh, it's so much worse than that, because it's not hell. It's not what most people quantitate as hell. They are most of them are being sucked into the ground. Some of them being stuck halfway, like the old black and white movies of trying to make their way out of quicksand. The others, far worse things happen. The souls and the spirits riding them like hounds and beasts, melding with, they become those things. Some barely touching the ground, others pulled into that maelstrom and circling storm above the church itself. Those are the lucky ones. Those are the ones that don't have to look down on themselves as their body starts. One believes that he is master of all he surveys and attempts to assault Robert. And it's only then that you realize that Robert has lived a life of death, because he is not the only spirit attempting to assail and to catch Robert's attention.
All right, so I turn off. However you're supposed to say, deactivate the unseen thing, because that's just fucked.
Closing your eyes, the gray cataracts that had taken over the color of your pupils begin to fade away, and the real world comes back into crisp, clean focus. Only thing there is the meat of those dying humans. Dia, having watched it, having seen it happen, having been close enough to watch as Zak is splattered with a bit of the excess cast off blood, it is a thing to behold. While Dia became beauty most savage, Robert became the very definition of what savage.
Dia oddly smirks to themselves as the thought of Beauty and the Beast pops into their head. And you would think that, somebody so polished would seem like maybe a little bothered by that display of all that, the carnage, but they see the art in it in a way. They're used to looking for the beauty in things, and even if it's just like, that spray of blood is quite interesting to me. They focus on those things rather than the, oh my god.
Robert comes to his senses, wipes his mouth clean.
As gracefully and smoothly as Dia had managed to disappear from sight for a split second, moving with all due haste to get there, Keisha and Secundus finally arrive. They finally cover that few dozen yards. Keisha moving right alongside of Robert. Are magnificent. You have found be as free as you are able. And she moves so that she's standing almost directly in front of him, catching his full vision, blocking his sight of almost anything else on the street. And she does the most at odds thing you can do. Having witnessed the carnage, having witnessed the ferocity, she throws her arms around his waist and hugs him as if he had brought her flowers or fresh cut dandelion bouquet, as if he had given in that moment a gift so beautifully singular, nothing else can compare to it.
I'm alright. Everything's fine.
Seth puts away his pistol while Robert is being talked to, and he moves over to Zak and moves around him so that his body is between him and the killing field, and kind of motions him back away from the combat scene. He's gonna scoop up Zak's penknife and try to usher him to the more calming influence of Secundus and Dia. It's like, come on, sir. It might be better if we come over here and take a moment.
As Seth is leading Frost, as Seth is leading Zak closer to Secundus and Dia, and Rob and Keisha are having a clear moment of her either consoling or congratulating. It's a strange mixture of the two. Having seen and witnessed what he has, what is Frost?
Frost knows how brutal the vampire society can get, but he hasn't seen it up close before, like he has tonight. Like, sure, he's shot his fair share of bullets at like whites and whatnot, but never before has he seen the souls of people just get dragged into wherever the hell. So he's kind of just like contemplating, just thinking, like really quiet.
Strangely enough, Keisha's not really bothered by the death. Everything has a cost, everything has a price. She is seemingly okay with the cost that these people paid, which is interesting. And while that is interesting and her and Rob settle their moments, she steps away, pulling out a cell phone and begins making a call. Moving towards Dia, Secundus, Seth, pulling Robert with her as if he is, for lack of a better word, her guard dog, as if he is the beast incarnate. And she finishes texting with her left hand as she meets Dia's eyes. The cleaners will be here shortly. I've let everyone know they need to leave through the back door. We should not be here either. While they finish cleaning, we keep drama cleaners on hand. I have a church van we could use, and we can go and speak with Honor directly instead of making a decision pertaining to her life without her input. Are you all okay with that option?
That was my wish from the very beginning, to get their opinion on what should happen to their life and let them very clearly know I do not intend to keep chasing them and that this is the end, one way or the other, for our interactions. That I would be reporting back to their sire, one way or the other, whether they be dead, doing quotation marks, or returning.
And as you all load up into the 12-person passenger van that the church uses to transport congregants to various things, Keisha hands the keys to Rob. We're going to be going to the Garfield Park Conservatory. Honor likes spending time there. Would you be so kind? Rob, take the keys.
Oh, I just heard "be so kind." I didn't hear anything else. What did you say?
Keisha hands him the keys for the van and tells him the Garfield Park Conservatory. And asks him to drive.
Rob takes them reluctantly. I'm more of a bike man myself, but I guess this will be okay for now.
Well, if you prefer, Frost is an excellent driver. He can take the wheel if you want to keep your hands free.
Yeah. As long as your car doesn't smell like rotten donuts, I'm fine.
So again, this looks from Seth to Robert. Are we sure we want him to keep his hands free?
I think Mr. Gill has proven that he knows how to use those hands, and I prefer to have him more mobile than being the driver would be. Frost is a great driver, and he's able to fight from a distance.
When Seth says that Robert knows how to use those hands, Dia obviously smirks and says, "Indeed."
I'm going to ignore that. Like, not said at all.
Has no problems with ending life, but in the merest hint of flirtation, and he gets embarrassed. And yes, there is a small bloom of a blush to his cheeks, even though he hasn't aroused his blood perception.
Sorry guys had to see that. The beast is like a muscle you don't use for a while. It gets hard to use and control. I'm more the one to ride the wave. Usually it's more of a mutually beneficial agreement.
As you all have that confession from Rob, the drive is actually not that long of a one. Observatory is not, in fact, that very much far away. If you had the time and knew where you were going, it's actually quite a short walk between the two locations. A 4.5, 5-minute drive is actually more like a 15, 20-minute walk. And as secluded as the conservatory is, there's an air about this whole situation that begins to dawn. Seth, being the more investigative member of the group, be so kind as to do the honors of rolling your Because it's not just knowing it, but keeping it to yourself in enough time. If you so let's go ahead and roll intelligence and investigation, or intelligence and insight, whichever is higher. Frost, being as you are driving, kind of roll your wits plus drive, and Dia and Zak, being as you all are members in good standing of the keenness of the sensates, would you be so kind as to roll your manipulation and subterfuge for me? And Rob, the truth of the matter is you normally are not that that you're normally not that much beast. You very well know that something's not quite where it should. Would you be so kind as to intelligence plus either occult or insight, whichever is higher? Would he like to attempt to exert maximum effort?
Yes, he's going to do it.
Oh, no. Never mind. I realized that it was an all-hunger die pool. Sorry, I just noticed that. That being the case. That being the case, as the moment settles over Robert, those sitting close enough and paying clear enough attention, anyone who has 2 or more successes would realize that Robert's going through a thing. Like, whatever happened, what just happened, what you all just witnessed, has lasting repercussions for him. As you sit there and consider what was happening over the course of the evening, Robert, there is no denying that your beast is far closer to the surface than it has been in years. It is excited. It is engorged and willing to burn the very city down around him for satiation. Please add 1 more hunger to Robert's stats. Zak, there are some people that instinctually he has managed to keep out of the rosy. A few moments where he's speaking with the door staff or hanging with the wait staff or even near the bar and he sees them at the door, he knows that they deserve a punch in the mouth. And he's not a violent person, so he makes sure that they don't come in, that they don't spread their aura, that they don't spread their energies on certain nights. Being the consummate host, he allows them in on nights where their penchant for chaos is the norm instead of the exception. That is the feeling that he is getting being in the van with everyone and having witnessed what he just did. This is that. This is chaos. This is a flouting of the rule, a flouting of decorum. and it sets his teeth on edge. Makes him aware that there are many games being played almost all at once. And next up for Dia and Seth, both of you all realize that there is chess being played, and there was an exciting incident and something that pushed Honor over the edge for her to be caught in the moment as she was. Everything you all know about Decker, while yes, he's a control freak, and while yes, he has a very huge distaste, dislike, and enmity with anything even remotely fine, he's not the sort necessarily to completely smother him. And while that thought is circulating for Dia, she realizes that there are other people playing both ends of the spectrum. There needed to be something exciting or inciting for Honor. She notices that that Seth's mind is working, and he caught sight of something that most did not. Before Rob let loose, Keisha was unfurling her aura. As Rob let loose, and as quickly as she moved, you are sure that she could have been there to perhaps prevent that from getting as far out of hand. You notice that she and Secundus keep a distance between themselves, and Secundus has been so far, while not necessarily the most vocal, a decent judge of character. Frost, the thing that you notice that no other person has is that the moment that you left and with all that you witnessed, you all have been being shadowed by shadows, which should be impossible. They're easily overlooked, mixing and melding with darkness where you all were. But the fact that they're keeping up with the van as you travel this short 5-minute drive speaks very, very ill of what you may be walking into.
Frost curses to himself because he's like, I probably should activate Sense the Unseen again. But what you just saw before, it makes him think less of doing it again. But, he fights through that because he's a soldier at heart. So he activates Sense the Unseen again.
Alright, so kind of go ahead and roll that one. And now roll for our problems.
Sorry, capital. I'm getting lucky tonight. It was 4 teenagers.
You didn't roll. Oh, yes. Me. There's some things that you just shouldn't do when you're driving, and one of those is stare into the inimitable, unending void of the other world. No one's near enough to notice, except for perhaps Rob, that your eyes gloss and glass over, your pupils taking on the look of grayed cataracts.
I feel the road.
The grayed cataracts taking over your eyes, peering through the mirror and looking behind you all. You are sure that there's the best way that you can describe what you see are lizard men, the Yong-Ti from that board game, running.
Mark Zuckerbergs are chasing us right now?
Running down the street, moving from passing by people who should notice them but don't.
Well, it's because they're invisible.
And they are keeping pace with the van. Their clothing is a mixed mash of cast off, destroyed, and damaged articles that you can find in any dump, any landfill, anywhere in the U.S. It is clearly not something that you would wear outside. There's, one is wearing a clearly Party City costume underneath a trench coat. The other is wearing mixed mashed slippers and jeans that are half a size too small. They're both wearing hoodies over their coat, but the hoodies are not made for beings with their dimensions. So it's snug in places it shouldn't, loose in places where it shouldn't be. One arm looks longer than the other. And they are keeping up.
Okay, so since I could see their shadows, I quickly deactivate unseen. Like I blink and get rid of unseen, sense the unseen, and I immediately say, "We're getting chased by Mark Zuckerbergs or lizard people."
Well, crap.
What did you just say? Well, Robert, still kind of recovering, doesn't say anything you just said.
See, like I said, I might have been a bit of a dick, but when we're on mission, I don't joke. There are literal lizard people chasing after us. They are invisible. If you look hard enough, you can see their shadows. They're keeping up with the van.
I hate this fucking town. Keisha,
I mean,
is
at least not werewolves.
Is there a path we can take around the park before we head in? Maybe mislead and misdirect our friends?
Unless our friends are our friends and they're just like protecting us, which would be totally awesome.
That would not be great. Keisha finally speaks up. If we are being chased by those serpents, it means that a decision has been handed down and that we are to not allow you to speak with Mrs. Mercer. I need you all to pull the man over so that I can perhaps speak with them. But I doubt that they'll change their minds, especially being as they are presenting themselves in such a manner.
Oh yeah, they are also weirdly dressed.
Yes, they don't associate with society usually. They usually only come for one of two things. Would you be so kind as to pull over?
Yeah, but Keisha, as far as I'm aware, Miss Mercer is kindred. What say do they have over whether we, as fellow kindred, speak to someone of our own kind or not?
They are church elders. But they have a specific task. I, unfortunately, am. I really do believe in honor. You have to understand. I want what's best for her. However, it is clear that church elders believe that you may not be what's best for her. Allow me a moment to speak with them. Maybe I can change their mind. At least now I see why Simone not staying in contact with Luke. This is always an issue.
All right, I'll pull over. Unless we have any other complaints.
Don't risk your neck out there. I don't even know what mission this pack of vamps is on. It's not worth getting killed yourself.
It is not, but there's none here who might have the church elders except for me. There's none who can speak honestly with them and live to tell the tale. I'll say that it was my idea to separate from you all and establish a space where we can talk, otherwise they will end everyone in.
I believe you. Alright.
If I look toward the van, take off as quickly as you can. It means the decision is far too accelerated for them to change or consider changing. She gets out of the van once you pull over and stands just behind it to the driver's side, just barely where you can see her out of the side view mirror without having to move the rear view mirror. The shadows that have been chasing you and moving as quickly as they were stutter step, and it looks as if she's talking to nothing. Air around them doesn't reverberate. There's nothing there. There's just nothing. And you see her motioning, and it looks as if from a distance as if she's practicing a speech or otherwise talking to the air itself. And she nods her head, and then she looks towards the van. And she begins gesticulating more rapidly and trying to catch their attention. What is it that you want?
She's trying to get our attention or the Figment's attention?
The air in front of her attention.
Dia is remembering the message that Nicole sent them about snakes.
You hear me? Testing 1, 2, 3.
Yes, we got you.
Alright, sorry. I said I gunned it if you didn't hear me.
No, I did not.
Alright.
Go ahead. Would you be so kind of go ahead and roll with your dexterity and drive? You need a target number of 3. Basically, you're going to circle around the observatory, ditch the van, and get out before they can find out where you are.
Yeah, that's normal.
3 successes gives you the opportunity to do so before they track you down after putting Keisha extraordinarily low. And less than that means that you guys are caught mid-action.
Booyah shot.
That could have ended considerably differently. As you all are snatched by gravity into your seats, Dia is considering what Nicole has warned them of as codedly and directly as she could. You all find yourself fleeing the van because you know if you stay in one singular location together, there is no hope for you all. If after seeing Rob cut loose and her response is that they would kill everyone in the van, what is your plan?
My plan is I should have brought more grenades. I'm joking. Or am I? I don't know. So I would say Frost probably reaches into his bag and says, I know you said not to bring any explosives, but I did take some flashbangs, so if we need to stun these guys, if they catch up to us again, here, everyone take one. And he tosses, because he brought 4, so. Because he was thinking ahead of time.
I take one of them. Okay, so plan A is a bust. Do we have a plan B, Ms. D?
I swear I hate meddling. Wait, so let me just get one thing straight. We are still in the van, or we jumped out of the van and we're running?
You are out of the van and you are running through the conservatory.
I thought we were supposed to take the van and leave. But okay, fine. We're closed up now that I know what we're doing. Yeah, if we're booking, I guess we're looking for... I'm still going to be looking for honor, maybe. Seeing as how we're running towards the conservatory, and that's where we're supposed to go anyway.
Seth takes up position on the left behind the three we were sent to find. Motions Frost over to the right side. Remember, we are here to get you home, so if it becomes getting you home or finding this person, our priority is different than yours.
Yes, we'll call the Uber.
Trancing and crushing grass and brush and bushes underfoot as you all make your way through the conservatory, which is actually just a huge forest reserve, for lack of a good word. It is better cared for and better maintained, but it is a place of wild beauty that is not just open. It is literally a place where the outside is inside and that inside is huge. And so as you all make your way through the conservatory, these properties, without meaning to, you trample through the brush and come upon Honor, who is sitting on a bench, who is quite rightfully scared shitless when there are a gang of God knows who rushing from the brush like wild heathens. Oh my god, what the fuck?
Was this the lich we've been risking? At least you brought me into risking your lives for? What's special about her?
What's special about you? What do you want?
Seth is going to pull up as soon as she starts freaking out and stop running, trying to look a little less intimidating.
Well, considering that Rob is splattered with blood and Frost is in near tactical SWAT gear.
Near
Trails too.
Oh yeah.
I didn't say it was going to work. I said that's what Seth does.
I didn't say it was gonna work. That's great.
Dia is going to step out front, obviously, and activate all so that the attention is taken from everything behind them and put on them so that they can calm this person down.
What do you want? He just said you were here for me. Are you with the church? Or are you with Keisha?
I'm with Keisha. I don't know about these guys. Or was. I don't know what's gonna happen to me now.
Well, where is she? She didn't say we'd be meeting for another hour.
Plans that I'm not aware of changed.
I
Seth,
feel like sorry.
Seth still sees us operating under the pretense of Plan A, so he's waiting for Zak, Dia, and Secundus to make their case.
There is no shadow of a doubt that all eyes turn toward Dia as she steps closer. Zag whispering or trying to calm Honor, having an initial effect, but Dia draws every gaze to her. It is as if the party trick that Keisha pulled earlier was literally some bit of up-close magic by someone with extraordinarily fat and slow fingers. This is the stirring of everything that is remotely intelligent and fantasizing in each of you towards Dia as she stands there, her radiance more than clear. There is no way that anything human could do that.
Finger going to their lips with a shh. Okay, I will explain why we are here. Somebody wanted to know whether or not you were still alive. And through the course of our trip, looking for you, I have lost several of my comrades to either death or insanity, and pure cowardice in one case. But what I wish from you and for you is to remain free, to retain your freedom, which is why I'm here to speak with you and see what it is that you wish to do with your own life. I'm sure you know who wants you to return, and I do not see myself returning you by force to someone you were never meant to be given to. So, I am putting the ball in your court.
I absolutely do not want to go back to Milwaukee. Whatever it takes, as long as I don't have to go back.
With that being said, I understand. But you know he will not stop until you are non-existent. So what I'm proposing to you is that you use the friends you have made here to make Honor Mercer disappear. Do you get what I'm saying to you?
So you're saying that I should use the church to help me? I had
They
made up
seem
my mind.
willing.
I honestly hadn't made up my mind to stay with them or not. But if it's either them or my sire, it's going to be them all the way.
I understand, which is why, like I said, I wished to talk to you first to see what it is that you chose to do. If you had somehow decided to go back, I would make way to take you back. Now that you have very clearly stated that you do not wish to go back, and I do not wish you any harm, then I will send a message to the person looking for you and tell them very clearly that you no longer exist. It is neither lie nor truth, but you will have to stick to that and not be seen again where they can find you. Use the church. They are willing to help you. We cannot stay here, though, because certain beings are upset that I insisted on talking to you.
I don't know how anything else to say except thank you so much. And she looks to Rob. You say that you're with Keisha. Do you know where she's at?
He was dealing with some elders. Last time I saw her. I hope she's okay. That's all I can really do.
If you all will please give me one more moment with Honor alone and make plans for us to escape, I would appreciate it. And Dia will step a little closer to Honor, get down close to them because Dia is relatively tall, and whisper in Honor's ear, while I say use the church, I am also giving you a warning that not all people who wish to help you mean you well. Keisha is a powerful ally, but also could be a powerful enemy. Watch them. Make sure that you keep your wits about you. You are a strong and very smart young lady. Clear?
She nods her head.
Good. Giving them a very soft kiss on the forehead. I can honestly say I am happy and sad that I will never see you again. Standing, Dia turns and heads back towards the group. Chop chop, let's go.
While Dia was having her private conversation, Seth is talking to Frost because Frost has a real phone, not the flip piece of crap that Seth has, and they're looking up the best route from here back to the Chevy.
The Chevy. Wait, my Chevy?
My Chevy.
Oh. We both have Chevy.
Yeah, we're not walking back to Dolton, brother.
I mean,
Robert rides
it's good for your glute.
only because he's like an actual baby boomer.
He is, isn't he? There is no, even with Rob's literally light touch and whose nature within the church, while he doesn't let on to anyone, he knows that there's no doubt in his mind that with the church elders taking action in such a grievous, direct manner, that his leash will be not only pulled, but probably be staked out back sooner rather than later. They usually only come out to end a person's time. There's no shunning within this church. Not the sort that most people understand. Their idea of shunning is anyone broken one of the precepts. Well, there's several people who have changed purses that were once part of other individuals.
The game's almost over.
So you guys are all going. My place is here. Sadly.
Well, his place being here will probably end up with him staked and used as a warning. His place here will probably end, if he is only staked, with several other additional decades, if not centuries, tacked on to his sentence. Blackmail that hangs over his head will probably be given up in all the same as a final act of the punishment. If he sticks around, there are two things that are definitive. He will never find that which is looking for, and two, his name will never have the opportunity to be cleared. The church elders play no games except for punishment and pain.
Actually, on second thought, I think I'll ride with you guys for now.
Well, you can always stay and stick it out. You know, he could be the one that breaks the odds and changes the story.
Yes, works. Goody, you can bunk with me.
Wait, so where are we going?
We need to get our rides back.
Oh yeah, but that much I know. But after that,
We're leaving. Their mission is over. Our mission had just started.
yeah.
Well, actually, I promised to Dindus I would get them to Gary as part of repayment for our favor and their help in said favor. So, if you wish to tag along.
To Gary?
Wasn't there? I feel like there's a high police involvement in Gary right now.
Something exploded in Gary.
Yeah, when we were going by it.
I'm just throwing that out there as information. I'm not gainsaying, but our job is to get you back to the Windy City, and Gary's on the way.
Actually, and here's the part that sucks as Seth analyzes this conversation with Nicole. It is once their mission is complete to make sure that they arrive here. And you know, when dealing with dignitaries of a certain echelon within the community, that passing a message through a messenger is almost a surefire way to piss somebody off. You kind of have to be there to be called out onto the carpet, whether it's fair or not. And once you're called out on the carpet and the matter is settled, then it would be okay to move elsewise. So, contemplating what the actual mission might end up requiring, it would be a visit to speak with Decker directly. And then off to Dolton.
So we're hopping from Gary to Decker to Dolton.
Yes.
If that's the food on the plate, we're gonna have to eat it. But we need the cars first.
We can get there.
My bike is also sadly parked near there. Have been in a bit of trouble. The elders fund is dead.
No, the thing is, are those lizard things still after us?
You can decide. Well, if they're scary enough to make he should be honest with us, I'm sure that they'll be here shortly. I think we should
Go.
We'll take the long way around, get to our cars, and on our way to Milwaukee, make sure that Zach is able to pick up Anna Marie from Red No. I am positive that it is fine. Razuli would not allow anything to happen to one of her guests' belongings. But as we make that drive, does anyone have anything against perhaps stopping off and having more than a small bite?
I'm absolutely famished.
I could go for a cheeseburger.
That's not a bad idea. I could go for a nice beer. It didn't run for shit anymore, but I love the taste.
Alright, decision made, let's go.
Actually, no. Morning bun, Starbucks. That's better.
This Anna Marie that Zach is talking about?
Yes.
Is that on the way?
It's a car, yeah, it's on the way.
Oh. People naming cars. I never got that.
You helped me name Matilda.
That was a joke. I didn't think you were going to take me seriously.
I take that shit seriously. Matilda is a beautiful, beautiful vehicle.
Yeah, well, right now you're driving my POS, so let's go.
That smells like rotten tomatoes. I mean, rotten donuts.
And with plans made and the road trip outlined in front of them, we draw to a close with Dolton's completion of the mission that had caused the decimation of what the coterie once were. And true to the title of this particular episode, it really is a new beginning for them. I look forward to seeing what will become of them and how successful they are on their next steps and what changes they will wreak on the city of Dolton itself. I want to thank you all for a lovely episode.